Thank you, Flora, for joining us and being willing to share your story. I'm so excited to find out more about your faith. Can you first share with us your overall faith journey?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for organizing this, Gloria. Maybe I should start with how I was before I met Jesus. Well, I was baptized when I was a baby, and the reason why I was baptized was more my mom wanted me to go to a elementary school, a Catholic elementary school, which is very near to my house, and so that she doesn't need to bring us here and there and with transportation to us. So at that time, my mom was not baptized. My dad was baptized, but he got baptized when he was very sick. But after he recovered, he didn't go to church nor even confirmed. So basically, I was raised in a non-Catholic family. So occasionally, my other sister, will bring me to church during Sunday Mass or even Christmas vigil. I like the Christmas vigil because I can stay up late, not because because of the faith. So that's my elementary school time, and then when I was assigned to a Catholic high school, in Hong Kong. I grew up in Hong Kong, by the way. In Hong Kong, after elementary school, you basically like a lottery or something. You are assigned a school. So I was, assigned to a Catholic school called Precious Blood Girls Middle School, and I was very active, organizing Catholic religious activities in school and within schools. But to me, organizing those activities is more like having fun, meet friends. Those activities really doesn't mean anything to me. I'm so sorry to say that. And then during teenager age, then I started to go to church a little bit more because I like a boy. And he attended the church that we went to at this. So that's why I went to church, tried to meet him. And then after high school, I went to Hong Kong Polytechnic and joined the student union and have fun, organize the activities again. But that's why I didn't go to church because every Saturday, Sunday, friends get together organizing stuff. I forget about God. Actually, really, before Jesus was not, my in my life. So I didn't really go to church during college. And then years after work, after I started to go to work, I feel like I seen a lot. So I started to go back to church, trying to cleanse myself. But still, my spiritual life is more like going to Sunday school. No, not Sunday school, Sunday mass, and then leave the church and even leave God at church. Not really practice at home. Yeah, that's about it. And then somehow I met my husband at work, and then we got married in the U.S. and I stayed here. So I did go to local church once in a while, but I never felt that the feeling of home going to church. Um, then somehow through my husband's colleague, so I met Claire over the phone, and then I just call her to buy air ticket because she had a travel agent back then. So I call her to get the air ticket back to Hong Kong. But then somehow we had a long conversation, like for hours. And then she even told me, "Oh, I'm a Catholic, and there's a Chinese church in Chinatown." I said, "What? I'm a Catholic too." So that's how I started to go to Our Lady of China. But I still just go once in a while, and I joined the retreat. In that retreat, I met Cecilia's mom, and later on, she introduced Cecilia to me. And talking about Cecilia, she is my angel. She changed my life. She will After I met her, she know I was not going to church regularly. She knew that I was the lost sheep. So she called me every Saturday, almost every Saturday, to make sure I will go to church the next day. But I'm pretty obedient, I guess, because I grew up in a Catholic school, strict Catholic school. So when she called me, yeah, I will listen. I'll go to church. But then if she didn't call me, I will just, I won't show up. That's me. That's me. But also at the same time, frankly speaking, I felt she was a little bit annoyed. Cecilia was a little bit annoyed at that time. But now I know how to thank her. I always say I cannot say enough thank you to her in my whole life. And but at that time, still church to me, I don't have a feeling of home at church. But then I think when I was pregnant with my son, I think there was a special occasion or activities at church, and I went to church and waiting for the mass to start, and then and the church was quite empty. I think most of the people were still in the downstairs in the parish hall waiting. I mean, not finishing the activities, but I just went up because I didn't know much people at that time. So I just went up to church and wait for the mass, and I suddenly heard a voice saying, "Time to go home," and it's a man's voice. And then I think then I look back right away, and there's nobody's there, and I still don't know. I still don't know where that voice come from. Yeah, that's about it. Before I really met Jesus, and then 13 years ago, when I really start to realize that God was my daughter. How to say it? Sorry. Was when my daughter, back then she was 2 years old. She had a severe stroke 13 years ago, and she was paralyzed. Her left side was paralyzed. So it was a big hit to the whole family. As I said, her left side was paralyzed, and when she left the hospital, the doctor said she would not walk again. But then, so the first year I was pretty stubborn. I still didn't rely on God much. I told myself, okay, doctor said she could not walk, she could not do much. I didn't believe it. I just rely on myself. I told myself that, okay, I will help her to do rehabilitation every day, every moment, do therapy. I will wait, keep doing it until she recovered. So that's about it. The first year I was very stressed. When there were good days and bad days, when when people got the stroke, the muscle is really tight, right? So when the day she was relaxed, her hand was relaxed, and she can do more therapy, I was happy. But when she was really tight, I couldn't do something, I was really stressed and upset. So that's the first year. But then starting the second year, she had epilepsy. She started to have seizure. And the doctor said, yeah, half the people who have stroke, they will have seizure. And that was the time that really hits me. And we have done everything. She has tried for seizure medication. It didn't help. It didn't control her seizure. And the worst time she had 10 seizures a day. And then the doctor started to talk about brain surgery. It's an open brain surgery. It's pretty invasive. So basically, they need to open the skull and then put a map, maybe the electrical map or something, on the brain, and then close the skull, and then wait for her seizure to happen, and then the map will detect where the seizure is, and then once they get enough information, they open the brain again and do the surgery. This is very invasive, and also at the same time, her skull was very deep inside. So both my husband and I didn't really want her to go through that. And also at the same time, we asked a lot of people who had this kind of brain surgery. They said, a lot of them, the seizure will go back even though they do the surgery, and they still need to take the medicine. And the doctor say a lot of possible risk, like maybe another stroke, or maybe even to damage more brain cell, which can affect her mobility more. So we're really, really reluctant to do the surgery. So then at that time, I start to rely on God, because I know, I cannot do anything. Doctor cannot do anything. So I know God is the only one who can help. So I still remember there was one time we saw the neurosurgeon. We met the neurosurgeon. We went to New York, and the neurosurgeon said, yeah, she has so much seizure, so he's ready to operate on her even on that day, because he said her seizure is too dangerous and so uncontrollable. So my husband and I were blank, basically. We knew that she needed surgery, or she needs something to help her stop the seizure. But at the same time, we didn't want that to happen. So we were blank. We were sitting in front of the neurosurgeon, no one could say anything for a minute. And suddenly the next thing come out from my mouth was, I didn't even think, just something come out from my mouth to say, can you give us 3 months? I want to see if there's a miracle happening. And then 2 weeks later, out of a sudden, her seizure stopped. And I know it's a miracle. And then, yeah, we didn't pursue the surgery again. So my true conversion was when I turned 40. And it's also about the, when the doctor, the neurologist keeps saying that you rather miss the open brain surgery. I was so hopeless. And before I was stubborn to rely on myself. But now to the point I was so hopeless, there's nothing I can do as a human, as a mom. So I surrendered to God, to Jesus, to God. And I still remember one night, I was looking at this Divine Mercy's image, this one. I was crying very badly, and I begged him. I asked him to help. And suddenly, you see there's the red light and the white light, or yellowish or bluish light. I don't know. Is it because of my blurry vision due to the tears or whatsoever? I saw the lights was like moving or radiating. I couldn't believe my eyes. So I was, then I told him, are you there? If you're there, can you please show me a sign? And I don't know why, I asked for a rainbow. I said, if you are there, can you show me a rainbow? And then the next day, all of a sudden, I was driving and I saw a big rainbow. And I cried right away. Because in here, even though I lived here in Virginia for at that time, maybe I lived there for 10 years already. Yeah, I think 10 years already. I didn't see a rainbow in the past 10 years, or maybe one, maybe not. I don't even remember I saw a rainbow. And just right the day before I asked for a rainbow, he showed me a rainbow. And from that time on, I started to be more faithful and trust him more. Still I have ups and downs for sure, because I'm not the same yet. But I continue to pray and ask him to be let me be close to him and know God.
That's awesome. That's so great. But it sounds like you have still a lot to deal with health difficulties with your Rella. How does God help you on a continuous basis now?
Yeah, you're right. She does. She did have a lot of health difficulties, and she still have, unfortunately, because at that time we said her seizure stopped, but then after 3 months she come back, and that's why the surgery. That's why I'm afraid to go to the new neurologist, because every time we meet him, he'll bring up surgery, because the medicine still doesn't really control it. But back in my mind, I know that's not she needs, I think. So yeah, she continued to have health difficulties, and also because of the uncontrollable seizure and also chronic fatigue. So there were even times that her seizure keep changing. There were even times that she had a whole day of seizure, and also there were times that after seizure she had no breathing, and her eyes were wide open. Both my husband and I thought she was gone. So it was scary. It was very scary. So that's why during those tough times, I keep asking, is he there? Is he there? And a lot of times, not just one time, I keep seeing rainbow. I even saw a whole circle rainbow one time. And to me, he keeps telling me that he's there. Just hang on to that. And another thing I would do is I would listen to Christian song, which lift up my spirit. And the one that I like the most is called "What Faith Can Do." That is a beautiful, beautiful song that encouraged me not to give up, or encourage people not to give up and continue to believe. And during those tough times, I keep, having a lyric in that song, remind myself the few lyrics that I like, especially, or I try to remember is, it doesn't matter what you've heard, impossible is not a word. And you will find your way if you keep believing. When the world says you can, he will tell you that you can. Those are the words I need all the time. That's why right now I'm, it's not easy for me to say no, because I keep remember that impossible is not a word. We still continue to help Loretta's recovery, and we are doing a more different approach than just rely on traditional Western medicine. She's doing more like a holistic approach, is to help her to clear her toxin and everything. So we do see changes on her. She continues to recover. She continues to improve her brain, and right now she can walk independently, and she can think. She can learn. All these big improvement is a miracle already, because the doctor, when she left the hospital, they said she couldn't do all these stuff. But yeah, she's doing that. There were times she could cry for an hour. Not too long ago, maybe 3 years ago, she could cry for an hour and kicking doors and everything. She couldn't control herself. And right now, through all the treatment that we learned, she continued to improve. Yeah. So, oh, by the way, I not just myself, actually, for Urella, she's starting to learn too. There were one time, because she's now a teenager, so it's hard for her, especially ask her to do all those time-consuming treatment. So there were I remember one day, she had a lot of seizure, and she had a lot of pressure. She just hid herself in her room and listened to the Christian song, and she listened to this "What Faith Can Do." She was crying. She listened to it. She was crying, and she was by herself. But I have a monitor watching her, like a baby monitor, because we have to do that all the time, because we worry that she will have a seizure and she'll fall down. That was the most beautiful moment I've ever seen. And I know that she was talking to God, and she's listening to the lyric. She knows that she has a lot of difficulties, but she knows that she has to face it. Just like in the lyric, it says you have to face the cloud in order to see the silver lining. That's her. She knows that she needs to do a lot of difficult treatments. Those are time consuming, and she hated it. But she needs it. She tried her best to cooperate, and she knows that those treatments to help her to be better. Yeah. So, and also, I also feel or see, not see, but I always think that she has an angel. God sent an angel to protect her. There are a lot of times she could have seriously injured, but somehow people catch her. And I still remember one time when we were in Vancouver and going to my brother-in-law's house. I was, not too far. I was watching her, but not too close to her, maybe 20 feet away from her. And then she was with her cousins and everything talking. She lost her balance and she fell down from a 15 feet high place and fell on the ground. I was watching. I was so frightened. I thought, oh, she will have another brain injury or maybe broken bones or whatsoever. This is really pretty high. And then amazingly, she only have scratches on her face, her nose, or lips, or whatsoever. So, and days after, everything is fixed. So it was amazing. I always think that she has an angel to protect her.
Wow, that's amazing. You've had so many miracles in this experience. But even though you have the miracles, do you still have and experience darkness? And during those times, how do you surrender to God? How do you turn to Him?
That's a long story. Yeah, sure. I do have darkness all the time, especially when the time you realize not to cooperate and I really don't know how to deal with her or the situation or how to help her. Just actually, I have this experience to share. Just the past March during Lent, um, my whole family went to Ocean City because my son, that was the time my son had a spring break and he's a senior now. So this is his last spring break. So before we went, I didn't expect it would be we could do a lot of fun family activities because Alex invited a friend to join us. So I expect he will spend most of his time with his friend. And for Urella, because of her chronic fatigue, she couldn't go outside too much. So I just expect maybe at the most I can just stay in the rental place to relax a bit. That's all I expect. But it turns out it was a very, very good experience for everyone and for me too. So the first day we drove to Ocean City. So, and then we arrived there late in the afternoon, about 5 or 6 o'clock. And like normal, when we arrived, Luella was exhausted because of her chronic fatigue. When she exhausted, she was exhausted. You couldn't imagine how exhausted she would be. She looked really tired. So then me and Urella compromised that, okay, well, we quickly settled down. And then my husband and my son and his friend went to buy grocery. And me and Urella, and me quickly make dinner for her. So hoping that she could go to sleep early, right? But then Urella, at the same time, she wanted her entertainment. So she wanted to watch TV while having dinner. So we compromised. Okay, let's have dinner while she's watching TV. But then I asked her to promise after she's done, she needs to do her regular detoxification, which is very important because that one, based on what we have been doing for the holistic approach, the healing thing. So that one does help her to avoid a seizure, hopefully. So she promised me, okay, after dinner, she will be cooperative, we'll do the detoxification, and then she'll go to sleep. Okay, then fine. So everything, I prepared dinner, she watched. But then after her dinner, again, she was exhausted. So she was sitting on the ground, staring for a long time, didn't respond much. So I went to her. I said, hey, let's do the detoxification. And then she was whining. She started to whine. And she made any excuse to give me a hard time. Why should I do this? Why should I do that? Blah, blah, blah. It didn't make sense. It's the normal her when her brain was not there. So, and then, so I know, and at that moment, I know she needs the detoxification the most because she has a lot of toxin in there. So I urged her, can you be quick? Can you please do the detoxification? And then she continued to whine and whine. So to the point, I know we couldn't do it. So I just gave up. We didn't do the detoxification and then let her go to sleep. And and then she really didn't do it, and then she went to sleep. And luckily, she didn't have seizure on that day, on that night. But at the same time, I couldn't sleep well that night because my son and his friend was playing video game, and it was very loud. So early morning, I woke up. So I went down to the beach to pray and walk. So out and then I prayed the rosary. So suddenly, I don't know why, I just kneeled down. I kneeled down facing the ocean and I cried. I told him that I prayed to God. I told him I didn't know what to do because Yuela is a teenager now. She's not cooperating for sure all the time. And it's annoying to do all the treatment. It's very annoying. If it were me, I would be annoyed too. So, yeah, I was helpless. I told him to help. But at the same time, I know Yuela tried her best already. So I couldn't bring her. Anyway, so after that, so I just went back up to the rental place, and yeah, we had a wonderful day that day. And then the next day, I woke up in the morning again before Urella woke up, so I went down to the beach to pray again. And I did I don't know, have you heard of the 9 days surrender novena? Yeah, so actually that was the novena that the priest taught us to do 2 weeks ago. So I did that 9 days consecutively before I went to Ocean City. But that day when I went to the beach, I want to do it again, but I do it all at the same time. It was a short novena. So even I did 9 days altogether, it took me like 10, 15 minutes to finish it. So I did it. I want to surrender to him and then I look around. I now, after the rainbow experience, I always have a habit to look around, look the sky and see if there's any sign sent from God. So I look around, look at the sky and everything. Nothing happened. I was disappointed. But then, so I waited. I sit there and waited. And then, right in front of me, I was facing the ocean again. Right in front of me, I saw a duck. One duck. And that day, the wave was pretty rough. So I looked at the duck, and then even though with a rough wave, the duck was, I don't know if you kind of remember when you saw a duck on the wave, the duck was really calm. Just the body was moving along the wave, but his body is still very calm and peaceful and everything. And then afterwards, after maybe a minute, and then he dived into the water, disappeared. So I was like, wait, where's the duck? Because I thought that is a message from God, right? So he dived inside and disappeared. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, and then was it lost? And then a minute later, the duck came back out from another place, which is about 10 feet away, further. So, and then after that scene, I had the message in my mind. And then God tells me that he wants me to be like the duck, because the duck has a lot of rough time like a wave, right? Just like when I, dealing with Urella's recovery, I have a lot of ups and downs. But he wants me to be as peaceful and as calm as the duck. And he also wants me to dive in to the wave like the duck, dive in to face all difficulties with God. He will transform me just like a duck, come out from another place, transform me to be a better person. How beautiful that message was. I was so happy, I was enlightened. So then I was very happy and go back up to the apartment, right? And then I continue to help Loretta to do detoxification before we go to do something. And then during that time, we were waiting to do the detoxification. I didn't have a little time. So I told myself, I keep remember that scene. And then I told myself, okay, I need to think of a name of the duck so that I can remind myself whenever I have hard time. So I remind myself the duck to be calm, to be peaceful, okay? No yelling, nothing, right? Then, when I think of a duck, of course, everyone think of Donald Duck, right? So, but then I thought, no, Donald Duck is not me. It's not like the duck that I saw. Then I asked you, and then I think of Donald Duck's girlfriend. So I asked Rella, hey, what's the Donald Duck's girlfriend's name? And really, whenever I ask Rella's question, she'll ask me a lot of why, what, whatever, before she answers your question, right? But that time was really amazing. The first time I heard, she gave me a very firm answer and quick, Daisy. And then I said, oh, okay. I was surprised she gave me that answer. So I looked at the meaning of a daisy, nothing much. No, actually, daisy, there was some meaning, but that doesn't really caught my mind. But then I told my Urella, hey, wait, maybe I want to add Daisy as my middle name because I want to remind myself, right? And then Urella said, no, how about Daisy Reed? She gave me another name, Daisy Reed. And then I asked her, what is Daisy Reed? And then she knew that name from an animated TV show she liked the most, which is called Wings Club. So the Wings Club is about five or six girl fairies, and they are very brave and fighting bad guys. And there's one fairy is called, the name is Flora, which is, my name is Flora, right? So, and then Flora has a guardian angel named Daisy Reed. So after she told me all these, I think how perfect it is, because, I'm Flora, the fairy is Flora, and Flora's guardian angel is Daisy Reed. So I said, okay, I like that name. Let's do that. And then during lunch, we didn't have much thing to do. And then I was suddenly in my mind, just check up what Daisy Reed means. So and then I was so shocked. I was so not shocked, thankful that to God is another message to me. Daisy Reed means hope. I was so, nothing to say to thank God. He's so good. So it's like another message to me, keep asking me to continue to have hope. So yeah, I was very happy and thankful. And then after lunch, we went to Broad Walk for 1 hour. So it was cold, but Luella was able to walk 1 hour. And then right after the walk, we went back to the car. It rained right away, heavily, very heavily. So we were on the way. So we drove back to our apartment. But during that car ride, which was very short, it's like 5 to 10 minutes only, I had a feeling that I would see a rainbow. Really, I didn't know. So that's why in the car, I keep looking. My husband was driving, and I keep looking here and there. There's no rainbow. But then, deep in my heart, I still feel like I will see a rainbow. So we drove back to the apartment, and then so we went back up to the apartment. But that time, Luella and Daddy will go to some place, second floor, to go see the entertainment thing, and I went back up to the apartment. So I was by myself. When I opened the door, I saw the big rainbow right in front of me, behind the patio door. So that moment, I was speechless, no tears whatsoever. There's no word can explain my feeling, how good God was, remember, rainbow is always a sign to me that he tell me he's there. So the whole day, basically, he's telling me from the dark, he tell me he wants me to surrender to him. He wants me to be calm and peaceful, and he wants me to have hope, continue to have hope, and he wants to remind me that he's there. So, yeah, that is beautiful. That's how I surrender to him.
That's so special. I don't think I've ever had a sign like a rainbow. I now want it. Maybe I should ask for a rainbow too. Like, can I have a rainbow also? But that's beautiful how God speaks to you.
Oh, wait, I forgot one more day. Actually, one more. One more was, that was the day, right? And actually, the last day we were in Ocean City was a Sunday. I forgot that part. It was a Sunday. And then we went to a Sunday Mass before, right after we checked out, because there was a church right 2 minutes drive from that place. And then we went to the church. And that day, the gospel was about, it's from Luke. And it's a parable that Jesus talked to his disciple and the Pharisee. It's about the lost son. Do you know that? You know that story, right? So we all very familiar with that story. So I didn't have much feeling about that gospel. But then somehow there were a few words stuck in my mind during the whole mass. Those words were, Father ran to the Son. I didn't know it was stuck to me the whole mass. So, well, then after the harmony, and we received the Holy Sacrament, we received the Eucharist, right? And then it's a very how to say it? I don't know how to explain it, but I just cried. Once I received the Holy Eucharist in my tongue, I just burst into tears very badly. When I was crying the whole time, and then I walked back to my pews and kneel down, and then my whole body was shaking. I had that once or twice in the past, and that was also the moment I couldn't explain myself. The whole body was shaking, and I couldn't stop, and yeah. So and then after everything, so I sit back down, and then but now I think back, remember I was stuck in the word Father ran to the Son. I guess what God wants me to know is I was the lost sheep. I was the lost son. Remember my elementary school guys? I was lost. I did bad things. So I think I was the lost son, and then he wants to tell me that, when the father find the lost son, how sorry, how do let me find the word to say it. He was so touched. The father was so happy that and at the same time he cried very badly, just like the moment I cried when I received the Eucharist. And that's what I started to understand. When Jesus died, he said he thirsts for us. The word thirst really like the moment, the cry and everything, the emotion. So God wants us to return to him. He thirsts for us.
That's beautiful. So your family has experienced so many hardships over the years. How does God help your families?
My family was under a lot of stress. And I'm not sure if you know or not, my husband is still not baptized. So we fight a lot. Especially because my son is going to travel hockey team. So basically during weekends and 2 weekdays night, and every weekend and long weekend, they basically go out to have games and practices. So basically, I'm the one. The most of the time, I'm the one who take care of Urella. So I have a lot of stress. That's why me and my husband fight all the time. But somehow, I don't know how, but then through Alex's hockey game, hockey activities, my husband is more involved in family activities planning. Because before he didn't do that. Before he just let me plan everything. But he was more involved. And and even though he's not baptized, whenever um, whenever I yell or fight or whatsoever with him, he would tell me, "Can you just go pray, go pray and calm down." He would say that all the time, even now. So, and for me, through frequent reconciliation that I recently doing, I saw change on me. I am able to be more calm, more acceptance to the kids when they misbehave, and I listen to Stephen more. And because of that, Stephen also started to change. He's more patient, he's more helpful, he's more understanding about my stress. So that's how I think God helped us. And amazingly, a month ago, he went to Brazil for a business trip. And he told me he went to church to pray for Urella. Yeah.
That's so awesome. That's great. I'm so excited. We'll be praying for him.
Yeah.
Finally, how has Our Lady of China pastoral mission influenced your faith? How has it been a part of your story?
Hmm. Yeah. Our Lady of China is definitely a very special community. We are very small, so we encourage each other and pray for each other a lot. So sometimes when we have big gathering, so there are people I didn't see often, they will come to me and ask about Urella's condition, and they will keep reminding me to be, to be continue to be hopeful and faithful. And a lot of people also keep giving us holy water and some prayer cards and pray for us. So we are like a family, and we need people around us to encourage us and to keep our faith. So that's very important, especially when we're weak.
Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful story. And even through your difficulties, I've always found that I hate suffering, but when it actually comes, it actually does draw us closer. And I can see how He's drawn you closer through all your difficulties.
Yeah, actually, I remember one time a priest told me that when we are enlightened, like like Peter, James, and John, when Jesus is transfigured, they saw Jesus transfigured. They were so happy in the mountain, right? And then they were so happy that they wanted to stay there. But when we're enlightened and very happy, um, but we still need to go back to our everyday life. We still struggle whatsoever, right? But that's the time that we need to hold tight on to Jesus. That's the priest taught me that. So yeah, we have to continue to trust. We have to continue to surrender. It's not easy. We're human. We still have our ego. We still have evil around us to tempt us. But we need to pray. That's why we need to pray, continue to trust, and get our strength. That's what I learned from the priest.
Thank you. Is there any one thing you would like to leave to our brothers and sisters at Our Lady of China? Some recommendation or advice or one thing to remember about God you'd like to leave?
Well, I don't know if I can advise or not, but yeah, as I say, just continue to trust no matter what you face. Um, we're on earth, there's a reason we're on earth because we're not a saint yet, but we can always work on it, continue to work on it.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.